Zayin, page Kuf Samech Dalet. So this is actually an incredibly beautiful idea, still in the Niddah of Tara. So he says, Kihine. So remember again, in this Niddah of Tara, the Ramchal is highlighting this concept of purity of action, purity of thought, purity of kavanas, right? The idea being that the goal, this obviously is an aspiration, it's going to be serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that my actions should be pure, that even my motivations should be pure. So we're speaking about the trouble with impure motivations. Although the action may look good, if the motivations are impure, there's something missing. And again, what we've kind of distilled this down to is a very core concept of self-awareness. Be aware of why you do the things that you do. Because sometimes we do good things, but the good things are done maybe not because of noble reasons, right? The good things are sometimes done for unholy motivations. Now again, that still means the action is good, but Lamaisa, a person must possess a heightened level of self-awareness. Why do I do the things that I do? Kihine, kishem she'in ola al gabe hamizbeach shalamata. Ella solas nekia menufa b'shloshes nafa. Well, let's listen to this. He goes to the Gemara Maseches Menachos. We know that on the mizbeach, on the altar, when you offered fine flour, that fine flour had to be sifted 13 times. 13 times. Shekvar tahar legamre mikol sig. Kach i'efshar la'alos al ritzonim mizbechoa elyon. Lios me'avodas hakela shlema v'hamivurachas. Ela hamuvchar shebemaisim ator mikol sig. We'll say, so the Ramchal posits that this is an incredible metaphor, right? You have to sift the flour 13 times. 12 times wasn't enough, right? 11 times wasn't enough. But what do you see? To go up on the Mizbeach, you have to be free from any level of impurity. The metaphor is that ultimately, again, that's our goal, to be able to go through the sieve 13 times, to go through the sifter 13 times to achieve that level of purity of thought, that level of purity of action. Obviously, this is an aspiration. This is an aspiration, right? And for many of us, this never happens. For some of us, maybe it happens, or maybe it happens only after years and years and years of sustained work. But life is all about setting your goals, even if when you set them, they appear to be exceptionally and extremely far off. Ve'eneni omer, boss is very important. Ve'eneni omer, shemashu zulas ze ye nitcha legamre. Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu einu mekapeach sara kol birya, u'mishalem schar ha'ma'asim lefi mashem. So we'll say, so remember, the Ramchal says, please don't misunderstand and think that I'm saying that only spiritual service that has been sifted 13 times and is free from any impurity is acceptable and desirable by God. That's not what I'm saying at all. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves everything we do, anything we do, and even if it's filled with impurities, right? And even if, again, it's rife with impurities, at the end of the day, if I'm trying, that's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu asks of me. But I will say, but there's this concept of what's accepted and what works versus what am I actually aiming for. U'mishalim schar ha'masim lefi mashem amnam al ha'avoda ha'tamima ani medaber. Hara'uya l'chol ohavei Hashem be'emes shelo yikari b'zeh Hashem ela ha'avoda ha'tahora legamri. Shelo tia p'niya ba el l'shem yisparach v'lo l'zulasu page kuf samechei v'chol mashi yisrachik min ha'madrega hazos kafi harbos v'chuko kein yirba ha'chisaron ba. So we'll say an incredible and overwhelming yisod. So ultimately, again, the goal is to be the fine flour sifted 13 times. That's the goal. That's the goal. That my actions should have a purity, an actional purity. My thoughts should have a cognitive purity. The motivations as to why I do things should all be for the right purpose. We'll say that's the goal. That's the goal. Until I reach that goal, I might do good things, good actions for all the wrong reasons. Okay, I both say, you know what? It's better to do good actions for all the wrong reasons than not to do good actions at all, right? I may have machshavas, right, kavanas that are a bit tainted. That's okay. So on one hand, there is this understanding that whatever I do, ultimately HaKadosh Baruch Hu appreciates and accepts, but at the end of the day, I'm striving to be that fine flour that's sifted 13 times before going up on the Mizbeach. Humash David HaMelech, Halav Shalom Omer, Mi li b'shamayim v'imcha lo chafatzti ba'aretz. Ki be'emes ha'avoda ha'amitis tzricha lios trufa harbe yoser min hazov min hakesar. Just like when a person purchases gold or silver. So again, I guess if you're in the market, right, for high-end stuff, the one thing you want to make sure of is that there are no impurities mixed in. Right? I don't want impurities in my gold. I don't want impurities in my silver. Right? I'm willing to pay, right? And I want to know that the specimen that I'm purchasing ultimately, again, is of wonderful quality. If that's true with gold and silver, then all the more so it's true in my avodas Hashem as well. But I will say again, this is a goal. Remember, Rabbi Franz spoke about this at the Siyum Hashas, that the enemy of the enemy of the good is the perfect, right? This idea being that sometimes in our minds we create these constructs of perfection, which might be something wonderful to aim towards, but don't let that derail present activity. Okay, I want to aim for something elevated and exalted, but at the end of the day, it's taking me a while to get there. Don't stop doing, sometimes being a purist is such an incredible handicap and detriment, right? Because being a purist sometimes becomes people's incredible excuse for inactivity. I want to go ahead and I want to be the fine flour. I want to be the unadulterated and pure gold. But at the end of the day, I'm not there yet. So I'm going to keep doing the stuff that I do in the good way. I'm going to keep acting. I'm going to keep growing. I know that my actions are not complete. I know that my thoughts are not complete. But at the end of the day, I also know what I'm working towards. Umishu over Hashem be'emes, lo yistapik pazeh b'muat, v'lo yisratz lekach kesef me'ura b'sigim b'dilim, tahainu avoda me'ureves b'pnios. Lo tovos. I will say, I'll give you the mashal. If you could imagine for a moment, you buy your wife a gift, right? Well, don't imagine you buy your wife a gift, meaning buy your wife a gift. Right? I'll say, but imagine like you buy her a diamond. You buy her a diamond, and let's say so you find a beautiful diamond, and of course it's on sale, right? Why is it on sale? Because it has a mum, right? It has a huge imperfection, right? But the jeweler tells you, don't worry about it. You'd mamish have to use, what do you call those things? A loop, right? You'd mamish have to use a loop to be able to see it. So we'll say, okay, you buy the diamond, you give it to your wife, and your simcha when you give a gift, there's an incredible feeling of simcha when you give. The truth is, we all know there's even a bigger simcha when you give a gift than when you receive a gift. But when you give a gift like that, your simcha is diminished. Why is your simcha diminished? Because in the whole time you're thinking in your mind, what? I hope she doesn't see the mum. Right? I just hope like it's going to be my mazel, the light's going to reflect right in a way. They're going to be like, what's that? Right? So what ends up happening is because when the gift is imperfect, I have a lot of anxiety about the mum that's there. I don't want anyone to see it. I don't want anyone to observe it. I don't want anyone ultimately, again, to notice it. But I will say, but at the end of the day, says Ramchal, isn't that so much of our life? I'm trying, but there's a mum. Maybe there's a mum in the way that I think. Maybe there's a mum in the nature of my action. Maybe there's a mum in my approach. Now again, do you not give the gift because there's a mum? No. But I also know that the gift is going to be a little bit tarnished because of this anxiety. We all walk around with this anxiety, I both say. This anxiety because I know there's a mum. But l'maisa, again, as long as I'm trying to work on that mum, working on towards to perfect that mum, to healing that mum, then says Ramchal, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is exceptionally happy and excited for your avodah. Just keep working to refine it. Just keep working to better it. Just keep working to uplift it. We'll have to stop over here. We're going to start a new parak because this pretty much finishes up the parak. We're going to begin the new parak in Meretz Hashem in honor of the new Masechta on Monday. We'll begin with parak Yud Zayin. Shkoyach. All right. All right, Jabosai, good morning. Let us begin our shir this morning. Our shir this morning is dedicated by Binyamin and Nechama Grossman in honor of Ira Grossman's 70th birthday. Mazel Tov, Ad Me'av Ersim Shanim Tovos. Shir is also sponsored this morning by Baruch Fischel and Sonia Kozlovsky, in appreciation to Dr. Mark Lustman for his kindness in facilitating Baruch Fischel's attendance at the Siyam Shas. Beautiful. May both grow in our learning as we restart Shas. Beautiful. Shkoyach. And I will say, lastly, we do have a Talmud Torah sponsor for the month of Teves. All learning in this month of Teves has been dedicated by Shirley Elbaum, Avron, Sean, and Judah Elbaum and their families in memory of their beloved husband and father, Jerry Elbaum, in commemoration of the occasion of his 10th yahrzeit. May Jerry's neshama have an aliyah and the family a nechama. And I will say with that, let us begin. So today's daf is Ayin Beis. A lot to do today. We're actually going to try to get in the Parsha Vart today also. Lekavod our... okay. Well, welcome back to Menachem Schoenfeld, who was clearly rested and rejuvenated from his time away. Good. Lekavod our last online share for Niddah. So we'll say, so we are picking up today's daf as Ayin Beis 72. We are picking up on Ayin Aleph Amud Beis 71b at the two dots. Kefes. So we'll say, so remember again, the Mishnah was talking about the woman who is in her Yemei Tohar. In her Yemei Tohar. And it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 lines up from the bottom. A lot of two dots. Right? Sorry. Kefes. Also remember again, so the Mishnah said that halacha l'maisa, she could separate out dough for challah, but what she does is we don't want her touching challah because a tvul yom could invalidate challah. So instead, what does she do? She goes ahead and she separates out the piece of dough, doesn't call it challah, puts it in a utensil next to the larger dough, and when it's placed next to the larger dough, that's when she goes ahead and names it, designates it as challah. This way, avoiding any contact with challah. So Gemara says, now interestingly enough, the Mishnah goes out of its way to say that she places the little piece of dough next to the larger dough. Why is that? The Amar Mar, mitzvah litra min hamukaf. Both say very important halacha when it comes to challah. There is a mitzvah to go ahead and take challah from an adjoining dough. The idea being, although technically speaking, you could separate out challah from a dough that is far away. In other words, if I have doughs A, B, C, and A, let's say dough A, but I happen to have another dough B that's somewhere else, I could separate out from dough B on dough A. But the idea over here that you place the challah next to the primary dough indicates to us that challah should be taken min hamukaf from the nearby corresponding dough. Good. The karla shem. Then she calls it challah once it's there. So the Gemara says, "Sagadait chamina nigzar dilma asil mege by mavroi." I might have thought that maybe we don't want her to designate it as challah. Also concern that maybe she'll come to touch the challah itself. Commercial, we're not concerned. Vim nafal meiroka. And if some of her saliva, the Mishnah says, or again, the lashon of the Mishnah was, if some of her saliva or some of her dam toar fell on the truma loaf, ultimately again it is okay. Disnan mashke tvul yom. Because ultimately what we say is that the liquid that comes from a tvul yom ultimately again has the status of a liquid that they touched. Ve'elu in metamin, and neither convey tuma ultimately again to the item that they come in contact with. Chutz mimashke hazav shu avatum, with the exception of course of the liquid, right, or the fluid that come from a zav that have the status of an avatuma. Beis Shammai. So then we came to an interesting machlokes at the end, which was, again, does a woman need to go to the mikveh at the end of her Yemei Tohar? Rabbi say, here's what we do know. A woman goes to the end of the mikveh, woman goes to the mikveh at the end of her Yemei Tumah. So at the end, for example, of 14 days after a girl, right, and 7 days after a boy, she goes to the mikveh. That we do know. The Maisa, the Shaila is, does she have to go to the mikveh again at the end of her Yemei Tohar? To which the Gemara says, so Machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. So Beis Shammai said, ultimately, again, she goes to the mikveh. Beis Hillel says she does not go to the mikveh. Says the Gemara, my beinai, what's the nafkamina? Amrav katina, tvul yom aruch ika beinahu. Both say, so the shaila is what we call a tvul yom aruch. So remember again, in a technical level, the woman, after she goes to the mikveh, after her Yemei Tumah, before her Yemei Tohar starts, right, has the certain status of a tvul yom. So we'll say, so again, because of that, halacha lamaisa, the shaila is, does she? But she's not really a tvul yom, because on a technical level, again, she doesn't technically have to go to the mikveh. Beis Shammai ever holds that because there is probably a lapse of awareness, over the course of the duration of her Yemei Toar. Beis Shammai says she has to go to the mikveh again at the end of her Yemei Toar. So at the end of the period of time for a boy or for a girl, Beis Shammai says she has to go to the mikveh. Beis Hillel says she doesn't have to go to the mikveh. How do we paskin about? Say the Rambam paskins in Hilchos Tumas Mishkav Moshav that like Beis Hillel, namely that halacha lamaisa, she does not have to go to the mikveh again at the end of her Yemei Tohar. She goes at the end of her Yemei Tumah, and that is enough. Mishnah, Haroa Yom Achadasar. I will say it's actually a very interesting case. Remember again, working on our 7-11 model, right? 7 days Niddah, then 11 days Zava, then 11 days Zava. Sa'ara Yom Achadasar B'tavla la'erev. So we'll say if a woman sees, now here's what's fascinating in this case. So just remember, again, we're already proficient in this. We're at the end of Maseches Niddah already. So we'll say, so remember again, we have 7 days of Niddah, 11 days of Zivos, right? Where a potential emission will make her a Zava. The way it works with Zivos is, if she has a Zava emission one day, she becomes a Shomeres Yom Keneged Yom, which means that let's say she has a Zivos emission on day 1, it means again, just day 2 is a quote-unquote a clean day, ultimately goes to the mikveh on day 2, and it's permitted ultimately again on the evening of day 3. So for example, if she were to have an emission on Sunday, Monday would be her clean day, she would go to the mikveh on Monday night. If halacha l'maisa she has 3 emissions in 3 days, she then becomes what? A Zava Gidola. Zava Gidola requires Shiva Nekim, 7 clean days. What the Mishnah is going to do with is the following case. Hara Yom Achadasar. Both say this is fascinating, riveting, and overwhelming. Because watch this. She's having an emission on day 11. On day 11. What's day 12? What's day 12? Exactly. Day 12 is in fact day 1 of the Niddah cycle, right? So both say there is no day 12 of Zivos. The next day is technically speaking into the Niddah period. So the Shaila now that we're going to deal with is there a concept of being a Shomeres Yom when you're already extending into the Niddah cycle? Saharoa Yom Achadasar, the Tavla La'erev, if a woman sees an emission on the 11th day, she went to the mikveh, let's say she went to the mikveh that night, Vishimsha, and she had relations with her husband. So we'll say what happened over here, she has the emission on day number 11, goes to the mikveh on night, quote-unquote, night number 12, right, the night after, and is with her husband. So the shaila is, has she done anything wrong? Beis Shammai Omer Mitame Mishkav Moshav. Beis Shammai says, yes. Ultimately, again, they convey Tumas Mishkav Moshav. Rashi says Mishkav Moshav. Afilu Baila Matai Mishkav Moshav. Letame Ochlin Umashkin. Shu Kebol Shemaras Yom Keneged Yom. De Kasavar Yom Yudalav Bayishimah. So we'll say, listen to this. Not only does she convey Tumas Mishkav Moshav, but her husband conveys Tumas Mishkav Moshav, which is another way of saying that what? That halacha l'maisa, she is a Shomeres Yom Keneged Yom, despite the fact that the clean day is extending into the Niddah days. When I say Niddah days, meaning days in which if she were to see, she would become a Niddah. V'chayav in karban, and ultimately again will be chay v'chatos. Top of ayin beis. Ubeis Hillel potra min a karban. Beis Hillel says no, you are potter from a karban, right? So Beis Hillel holds. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says delo bayishim, or top Rashi on ayin beis amud aleph. Delo bayishim aval inyan tuma modu midrabana lahachmir gezera yom yud aleph ata toch yud aleph yom de temea ba'olam midoraisa. We'll say, watch this. So fundamental machlokes over here. A woman is having a re'iyah on day number 11. On day number 11. We'll say, so remember what's happening. So the shaila is, there is technically speaking no day number 12. So is there a din of Shomeres Yom Keneged Yom when the clean day extends into the Niddah period? Beis Shammai says yes. Beis Shammai says she will be obligated to go ahead and keep day 12 as a clean day. And therefore, if she goes to the mikveh that night and is with her husband, they are in violation. Now, they're in violation of being Shomeres Yom, which means they're going to be chay v'chatos, which means, again, he's going to convey tumah the same way she conveys tumah, i.e. tumas mishkav u'moshav. Beis Hillel says no. There is no concept of being Shomeres Yom once the Zivos period ends. So once you're out of day number 11, there is no day 12. Therefore, Beis Hillel says there is no chiyuv karban, right? There is no chiyuv chatos. Furthermore, again, but however, he will say they are not permitted to have relations, and if they do, the man, both the man and woman, do have rabbinic tumah. The reason for that is because we're concerned that if we relax the standards on day number 11, what's going to happen? People will be makel on earlier days as well. So the Gemara goes weiter. So basically on P'tum min HaKarban, Tavla b'yom shel acharav, v'shimsha es beisa. So we'll say what happens if Lamaisa she goes to the mikvah on day number 12 and then does have relations, v'achar kach rasa, and then ultimately again, and then does go ahead. So if you look at Rashi says over here, Tavlo Yom Shel Acharav, the Avda Shimur K'tas Shir Ma'al Yehu, Ela Shetoch Yud Aleph Yom Asr Lasos Kain, Shelo Tavali De Safek, Shematir. So I'll say, so now watch this. So what happens if she goes to the mikveh the next day, right? The day after, and she has relations, Va'achar Kach Rasa, and then she has another emission, Beishame Omrim Etame Mishkav Moshav. Shammai says she's ultimately Tamei Mishkav Moshav, but pater from a karban. Pater from a karban. Beis Hillel Omrim Harei Gargiran. Beis Hillel says such a person like this is a bit gluttonous. What does that mean? Look at Rashi. Gargiran Memaher Lachto Shemeyargil Bekach Toch Yud Aleph Aval Inyon Tumatar. So we'll say, remember again, this is talking about now, she waited till the next day to go to the mikveh. In case number 1, she has an emission on day number 11, goes to the mikveh that night, is with her husband that night. Beis Shammai essentially says, she's tamei, right? She's tamei, he's tamei, chayev chatos. Beis Hillel says, you're tamei, because we're concerned if we don't make you tamei, you're going to be mekel earlier on as well, but no chayev karban. Case number 2 is, she waits until day number 12 to go to the mikveh. So we're going to see there's a certain element of miktas yom kakulo. She's observing part of the 12th day as a clean day, even though day number 12 is really what? Is really day number 1 of the technical Yemei Niddah, right? So Beis Shammai will say in that case, halacha l'maisa, she is still tamei, her husband who was with her is tamei, there is no chiyuv karban. Beis Hillel says, no, you're just a bit gluttonous. A bit gluttonous meaning what? You should have waited that night to be together as a couple, so you kind of were a bit, you jumped the gun a little bit. Right? So, but again, there's no tumah, because at this point in time she's already observed part of a clean 12th day, she's already gone to the mikvah, and you're already technically speaking in Yemei Niddah. So there's no tumah, and of course, according to Beis Hillel, there's not going to be any kind of karban. Umodeh, we'll say even Beis Hillel would agree, however, if this case occurred within the 11 days. But let's say, for example, on day number 9, day number 9 of the Yemei Zivos, she has a re'iyah, she goes to the mikvah that night number 10, she's with her husband. Even Beis Hillel agrees that in that case, what happens? They're both Tameim, Avisi, Mishkav Moshav, and they will be Chayev Chatos ultimately again for their act of relations. Tavla b'yom shel acharav v'shimsha. If she went to the mikvah the next day, right? The next day and then had relations. So we'll say this is talking about now, in this case, this is going on, let's say she had a riyah on day number 9, goes to the mikvah, waits till day number 10, a little bit of day number 10, observes part of day number 10, but goes to the mikvah the day number 10 and has relations with her husband on day number 10. Harezet harbusra. This is bad behavior. Umagan ube'ilas and tulin. Now, why is it bad behavior? See, the issue is, technically speaking, if she goes to the mikvah, she has a re'iyah on day number 9, goes to the mikvah on day number 10, right? Observes part of day number 10, goes to the mikvah and is with her husband on day number 10. So technically speaking, have they done anything wrong? So I'll say, so the answer is, we'll see. What is it going to depend on? If she has another re'iyah on day number 10. If she has no re'iyah on day number 10, then the truth is she's fine. If she had a re'iyah on day number 10, then it'll turn out that an immersion in the mikvah was invalid, and that ultimately, again, she and her husband had relations in a state of tumah. So we'll say, what we essentially have over here is as follows, to bring this all together. There are 11 days of zivos. The major topic of the Mishnah concerns a woman, and generally, if a woman has an emission on the day of... woman has a zava emission, what's the halacha? One zava emission? Shomeres Yom Keneged Yom, right? For every day of emission, she has to observe one corresponding clean day. The Shaila comes up, what happens if the emission is day number 11? That's the end of the Zivos period. So Beis Shammai holds, even day number 11, she has to observe day number 12 as a clean day. Therefore, if she goes to the mikvah the night of day number 12 and is with her husband that night, Beis Shammai says she's in violation. So right, they're both Tamei Mishkav Moshav and they'll be Chayev Chatos. Beis Hillel, right? However, again, if she waits until day number 12, observes a bit of day number 12, goes to the mikvah on day number 12, then Beis Shammai will say, okay, you're still going to be Tamei, but Lamaisa no Chiyuv Karban. Beis Hillel fundamentally disagrees with Beis Shammai and says, no, once day number 11 is over, then what Rabbi say? The days of Zivos are closed. We're done. Therefore, halacha l'maisa, if she has a re'iyah on day number 11, there is no shomeres yom kineged yom. But midrabanan, we want her to observe at the 12th day. Why? Why? Because we're concerned if she doesn't observe the 12th day, then what's going to happen? If this happens earlier on, she's not going to observe the corresponding clean day either. But therefore, according to Beis Hillel, if she were to go to the mikveh the night of the 12th and be with her husband, there would be tumah, but no chiyuv karban. And according to Beis Hillel, if halacha l'maisa again, she waits until day number 12, observes a bit of day number 12, goes to the mikveh on day number 12, then ultimately Beis Hillel says you're in the clear. Harei gargren, we don't like this, it's not good, but l'maisa you're not in violation. Taner Rabbanan, v'shavin, b'toveles alayla, the Zava Shena Tvila. I will say, but they both agree that what? That halacha l'maisa, if you go to the mikveh at night for zivos, it's not a valid tefillah. Did I will say for zivos, really what you need to do is go to the mikveh during the day, the next day, the clean days when you're supposed to go to the mikveh, and abstain from relations until that night. So the Gemara says, "V'shavim b'rab b'sochid aleph yom v'tavla le'erev." Furthermore, they also both agree that if she sees a zivos re'iyah within the 11 days, I will say, just take a look at Rashi just a moment. Tan Rabbanan v'shavim b'tvelas layla l'zava v'af api shechalukin Beis Hillel b'roa yom yir aleph v'tavla le'erev shepochim min hakarban hasim mishum d'yom yir aleph lo b'yishimar hilchach lav zava havi aval zava kitana shel toch yir aleph yom by Yashimar. So both say, so just to be clear, everyone agrees that let's say in a regular case of Zivos, so or she's having a Re'iyah within the 11 days. Day number 5, she has a Re'iyah. Everyone agrees also that she does not go to the mikvah on day number 6, on night number 6. So if she has a Re'iyah, let's say on Monday, she does not go to the mikvah on Monday night. When does she go to the mikvah? When? Sometime on Tuesday. In other words, you don't have to wait till nightfall on Wednesday. You could go Tuesday during the day after she observes some part of that day as a clean day. Furthermore, everyone agrees that if she goes ahead and she sees within the 11 days, v'tavla le'erev v'shimsha, and she goes to the mikvah at night and has relations with her husband, everyone agrees on both sides that again, that's problematic. Shemetama mishkav u'moshav, that both of them become tama mishkav u'moshav, v'chayavin b'karban, and you're chayav in a karban. Both say, so what's the machlokes? Lo nechlaku ela b'yom yidal. So both say, so just to be clear, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree on 95% of Hilchos Zivos. Right? So they will agree. If she has any mission within the 11 days, she has to observe a clean day. I mean, that's the Daraisa. They both agree she can't go to the mikveh that night. She has to wait till the next day to go to the mikveh. And if she doesn't, and she goes to the mikveh that night and has relations with her husband, they're both tamei mezechiyat chatos. They disagree on a very specific case, which is a re'iyah on Yom Yud Aleph, an 11th day re'iyah. Shebei Shammai omrim mitam mishkavu Moshe v'chayavim mekarban. That Beis Shammai say that halacha l'maisa, if she goes to the mikveh the night of the 12th and is with her husband, that they are both going to be tamei mishkavu Moshe and chayav v'chatos. Ubeis Hillel pochrin mikarban. And Beis Hillel says, I will agree that we will impose rabbinic tumah on them, but there is no carbonic liability for one simple reason, which is comes the night of the 12th day, Rabbi say, what's her status? The days of Zivos are over. You can't go ahead and impose carbonic liability for Zivos violation when at the end of the day, the days of Zivos are over. So Rabbi say, watch this. Amar lahem Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. So Beis Shammai say to Beis Hillel, Ma'ishno yom Yud Aleph mitoch Yud Aleph. Beis Hillel, I don't understand. Why do you make a distinction between the 11th day and all of the days which precede it? Im shiva lo l'tumah, lo yishva lo l'karban. So you both say, if you think about it, Beis Hillel's sheet is a bit incongruous, because Beis Hillel holds that l'mais, if she has her on day number 11, goes to the mikvah night number 12, husband and wife are together. What does Beis Hillel hold? What's their status? They're tamei. They're tamei. Yet there's no carbonic liability. So Beis Shammai says, I don't understand. If they're tamei, then you agree that what? That the Zivos chapter is still open. If the Zivos chapter is still open, then why is there no carbonic liability? So the Gemara, Beis Shammai. I'm sorry. So Amrlan Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, Mashna Yom Yulav Talk Yom Im Shiva L'Tumah. You're the Shel Carbon. Amrlan Beis Hillel Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel responds, Lo. So Beis Hillel says back to Beis Shammai, come on, you know the difference. Within the 11 days, when she has a re'iyah on days number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, The day afterwards is still part of the Zivos period and is mitzaref to the day on which she had a re'iyah. Yet again, Tomru b'yom yiralef she'en yom shel acharav nistarif imol ziva. We'll say, remember again, when she has a re'iyah on day number 11, the day after, i.e. day number 12, cannot be mitzarif, cannot be counted along with day number 11, because day number 12, we'll say, is no longer part of the Zivos chapter, but is already again part of the Nidos chapter. So Beis Shammai says, come on, Hishvu midosechem. So I don't understand. So Beis Shammai says, Rabbi say to Beis Hillel, so be, what's the word? Not congruous, but be consistent. Thank you. Be consistent. Be consistent. Im hishvu lo l'tuma, yishva lo l'karban. V'im lo shiva lo l'karban, lo yishva lo l'tuma. So both say, so Beis Shammai say, goodbye, I don't understand, you make no sense. You're inconsistent. If you're going to tell me that ultimately, again, if she goes to the mikveh the night of the 12th and is with her husband, there's going to be tumah. So if there's going to be tumah, there should be karban. And if there's no karban, then there shouldn't be tumah. Amar lahem Beis Hillel, im hevinu lidei tumah lahachmir, lo nevidei lidei karban lahakel. They both say, to which Beis Hillel essentially responds back to Beis Shammai, you're wrong. I don't have to be consistent. In other words, I do have to be consistent, but lamais, again, karban and tumah are two different things. Two different things. We could be machmir with tumah and impose upon them, because this is both the man and the wife, a rabbinic tumah, but yet not obligate them to bring a karban. That's not an inconsistent shita. We're mechalik between tumah and karbanos all of the time. Va'od. Furthermore, again, Beis Hillel says that to Beis Shammai, midivrechem atanoshchem, your own words bite you. Sha'atem omrim tavla yom shela achara v'shimsha va'achar kach rasa mitama mishkavu moshavu p'turim and a karban. We'll say, now watch this, because remember, even Beis Shammai themselves are. Beis Hillel says, you're calling me inconsistent, right? You're also inconsistent, because let's remember the case. She goes in and she sees on the 11th. Let's say, Rabbi say, in this case, she waits to go to the mikveh until the 12th. Right? She goes to the mikveh on the 12th, right? Then what happens? She has relations, and then sometime on the 12th day, she has a re'iyah. She has another emission. So Beis Shammai says, in that case, l'maisa what? They once again become both Tameim, but there is no obligation of karban. So ultimately, again, says Beis Hillel to Beis Shammai, Afatem, Hishu midosechem, im shiva lo l'tuma yishva l'karban, v'im lo shiva lo l'karban lo yishva l'tuma. Beis Shammai, be consistent. If Lamaisa on day number 12 there's going to be a chiv of mishkav moshav, let there be a carbonic liability as well. And if you are freeing them from carbonic liability, then what? Then there should be no tuma as well. So we'll say at the end of the day, remember, these shitos are being imposed to create a chumrah and not a kula. So we'll say, remember again, it's very important. Obligating them to bring a karban, if you think about it, is potentially a kula. What's the kula, Rabbi say? That you're potentially allowing chulin la'azara. Meaning, technically speaking, if they're not chaisi, to impose tumah, that's a chumrah. To allow a karban, where a karban may not be sanctioned or may not be appropriate, is the potential of allowing unsanctified items into the Beis HaMikdash. Fine. So we'll say, so both Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai have this element where they impose tumah, but not karban. So we'll say, so remember again, at the end of the day, the fundamental machlokes is really focused on day number 11. Very simply put, Beis Shammai holds that even on day number 11, there is a concept of shomeres yom keneged yom. So according to Beis Shammai, you can have a model where the days of zivos spill over into the days of nidos. Namely, she has her on day number 11, she'll have to go ahead and observe day number 12 as a clean day. Beis Hillel says there is no such concept like that. Once ultimately, again, day number 11 comes to a close, zivos is over. But even Beis Hillel will agree that if Lamaisi she had a on day number 11, went to the mikvah on the night 12, was with her husband night 12, that we will impose a rabbinic tumah on them, lest they be makel ultimately again for the earlier days of zivos. Incredible. Amar Rav Huna, mishkava u'moshava shebesheni. Now watch this. So Rav Huna says, what about her mishkav u'moshav on the second day? And I will say now, second day ultimately again refers to her shomeres yom day, right? So the day ultimately again that she is observing as her clean day. So her mishkav and moshav, Beis Shammai mitamin afa pi shetavla, afa pi shelo rasa. So we'll say, so again, her mishkav u'moshav on day number 2, which is her clean day. Beis Shammai says, even though she went to the mikvah, and even though ultimately again she has not had another emission, her mishkav and moshav, she still conveys tumas mishkav u'moshav. My time, what's the reason? Kevan dilu chazia metame, since if she were to have another emission on day number 2, that clean day, ultimately again she would convey tumah. Therefore, hashnai metamya. So essentially, what Beis Shammai does is imposes upon her almost like a certain level of proactive tumah. Since if she were to have another emission on day number 2, which is the clean day, the shomeres yom day, she would be metam mishkav umoshav. We proactively impose upon her a status of mishkav umoshav. Amar Rav Yosef, my kamash malon. What's the chiddush? We learned this. Tanina. Tavlo yom shela achra v'shimshas beisa. Remember again, about say this was part number 2 in the Mishnah. We're not talking about day number 11. We're just talking about a general day, right? She's observing her clean day. She went to the mikveh early in the day, which is fine, but then she had relations, which is not fine. Va'achar kachra. So and then she has another re'iyah. Beis Shammai omrim mitamim mishkavos umoshavos u'p'termin a-carbon. Beis Shammai says in that case, halacha l'maisa, she's mitamim mishkav umoshav. And Pater a carbon. Rav Kahana Ras Shiny. No. Rav Kahana said in a case, we'll say there's a distinction in a case where she actually has a re'iyah on the clean day versus where she doesn't have re'iyah. The chiddush of Beis Shammai is Beis Shammai will say that she proactively conveys Tumas Mishkav Umoshav even without a re'iyah on the clean day. Amar Rav Yosef, v'chirasa my havi, but I understand if she sees it. And also remember again, this is talking about the case of day number 12. She has a re'iyah on day number 11. On day number 11, she's observing day number 12 as a clean day, quote unquote. So Beis Shammai says even then she has a proactive status of Tumas Mishkav Umoshav. So the Gemara says, I don't understand, even if she has another re'iyah that day, we'll say if she has a re'iyah on day number 12, what kind of re'iyah is that? What kind of re'iyah? That's Niddah. Right? That's not Zava. Amrli Abaye Rav Yosef, Amrli Abaye Rav Yosef, Rav Kahana Hachika Kashile. This is Rav Kahana's Kasha. Bishlam Hecha Derasa Gazvina and Re'iyah Denida At Re'iyah Dezava. So I understand in a case on day 12, which is really day number 1, where if she has a Re'iyah, ultimately again, if she has a Re'iyah, even though it's Re'iyah of Niddah, we're going to go ahead and impose Tumas Mishkav Umoshav, lest she confuse that with earlier days of Zivos. So the Gemara says, Elahecha de lo rasa, my nigzerba. But if say if on day number 12 she has no Re'iyah, then why would we impose upon her Tumas Mishkav Umoshav? To which the Gemara says, Va'otinan. Furthermore, we learned, Haroa Re'iyah Acha Shalzov. We'll say in general, if a woman sees one Re'iyah of Zivos, so we'll say, watch this. Look at Rashi. Haro re'iyah acha shel zov bi'ishmairi. Rashi just reframes it, he's talking about a man. If a man has a zav emission, he has a zav emission, and what happened? Beis Shammai omrim. So we'll say, so Beis Shammai says, ki shomeres yom keneged yom. Ultimately, again, look at Rashi's mom. Ki shomeres yom keneged yom. B'shini shala shemaga talui achar tvila. Avze maga talui im tava la'achar re'iyah. V'naga b'maiser maga talui shemer. So we'll say, now watch this. A man has a zav emission. He's now observing a clean day. What's his status during that day? So the Gemara essentially says, if he touches truma or kadshim, it's talui, it's suspended. What does it mean it's suspended? What does it depend on? We'll say it depends on what happens the rest of the day. If he has no more emissions during that day, everything is fine. If he has another emission that day, then it turns out that he was a zav on that day also, and anything he touched even prior to the emission, ultimately again will be conveyed with zav tuma. Beis Hillel says no, kibal keri. A man who had a zivos emission, the next day that he's observing the clean day has the status of a bal keri. A man who had a similar emission. Look at Rashi. Vitar l'maiser la'achar tvila miyad. He'll say that after he goes to the mikvah, he's good to go. Katani mihala Beis Shammai shemeres yom v'zav b're'iyah rishona zavin. And we'll say, what do you see from here? That according to Beis Shammai, ultimately again, a shomeres yom and a zav have the same status. So it sounds like over here, we'll say that's what? That halacha l'maisa, a shomeres yom, on the day, on her clean day, has a suspended status until we see what happens the rest of the day. We don't automatically impose upon her Tumas Mishkav Umoshav. Rather, we wait to see what's going to unfold over the course of the rest of the day. Amud Beis. V'tanya. Furthermore, we learned. Hamesit es hariyah. So we'll say this is talking about over here by a zav by a re'iyah rishona. If he actually carries, right, or if a tar, somebody who's tar, actually carries the actual emission What's the halacha? Beis Shammai omrim tolin. Beis Shammai says lamaisa. We go ahead and we wait to see what happens. Or as we'll say, tolin means we wait to see if he has another emission. Rashi says yachzer hazav v'yira hayom shnayim nimsa zav gamer lemafreya v'zom metamim b'masa. So we'll say, I wait to see what's going to happen the rest of the day. Beis Hillel matarin, and Beis Hillel ultimately again says that halacha lamaisa. He is tahar, because why? Because Rabbi Shmuel holds that the zav after the first emission is like a bal keri, and just like keri, right? Just like carrying shichva zera does not convey tumah, so to the first emission of the zav will not convey tumah as well. Mishkavos umoshavos shebein re'iyah rishuna le're'iyah shniya. We'll say, what about mishkav umoshav? Anything that she sits on or pushes her weight against between the first and second emissions. Beis Shammai tolin. Beis Shammai says we wait to see what happens, if there's going to be a second emission or not. Beis Hillel matarin. Beis Hillel says no, halacha l'maisa it's tar. Vikatani reisha haroa re'iyah achas shalzov. So also we learned in the reisha that what? If a person sees one re'iyah of zivos, Beis Shammai omrim kishomeres yom keneged yom. So Beis Shammai says ultimately again we treat it as a shomeres yom keneged yom. So we'll say, so again remember, this is haroa ri'ach hashazov. Someone had one zivos emission. So we'll say, what's their status? So Beis Shammai says shomeres yom keneged yom. Alma shomeres yom keneged yom leBeis Shammai tolin. So we'll say, what do you see over here? You see that according to Beis Shammai, something fascinating. Another machlokes of Rabbi, which in general, what do you do with her shomeres yom keneged yom? So we'll say, so remember, this is a simple case. A woman has a zivos emission on day number 3. So we know what the protocol is. What's the protocol? She's going to observe day number 4 as a clean day. When does she go to the mikveh? When does she go to the mikveh? Sometime on day number 4, daytime immersion. But she can't be with her husband till day number 5, till the evening, right? Day which effectively is day number 5. So we'll say, so halacha l'maisa, what is her status during that day number 4, during a quote unquote clean day? So Beis Shammai says, if she touches, let's say, truma, meiser, right, kadshim, so we'll say, what do we do with anything she touched? What do we do? Tolin means. Tolin means what? We suspend it. We wait. We have to wait. What do we have to wait and see? Does she have another emission on day number 4? If she has another emission, Beis Shammai says, then everything she touched ultimately is going to be tamei. If halacha l'maisa she didn't have another emission that day, then everything she touched is going to be absolutely fine. To which the Gemara says, "Ama shomer yom keneged yom Beis Shammai tolin." To which the Gemara says, "Lo tema shomer yom keneged yom ela ema kiboel shomer yom keneged yom." Rather, says the Gemara, no. Don't say that we treat her or we treat him like a zav who has one emission like a shomer yom keneged yom. Rather, we treat him like one who has relations with a shomeres yom. So the Gemara says, "Maishna ihu delo metami mishkavu moshav, u maishna ihi demetami." So we'll say, why is it that he, right, the man will not convey Tomas mishkavu moshav, but yet she will? To which the Gemara says very simply, ihu delo shchichi beidamim lo gaza beirabanan. A man who does not bleed often, right? Ultimately, again, Chazal were not concerned about him. Therefore, did not have to be gozer. Did not have to be gozer about Tolin. Ihi the shchicha beidamim gazu b'rabanan. But Rabbi say about her, i.e., the shomeres yom, who does bleed. Well, again, a woman. Just Rabbi say again, who obviously bleeds from an emission perspective more often than a man. Ultimately, again, Chazal were gozer. U'maishna mishkavu moshav demetamile. U'maishna bol delo metamile. And why is it ultimately again that mishkavu moshav will become tam? She'll become tumah to mishkavu moshav, and the bol not. To which the Gemara says mishkavu moshav the shchiach metamia. Mishkavu moshav ultimately again, which is more common, that Chazal legislated their tumah upon. Bol delo shchiach lo metami. But the case of bol, which is not the shchiach, ultimately again they were not gozer. Fine. Tanan. Tavlo yom shela achra v'shimsha. So we'll say, so remember again, next case. What happens if Lamaisa, she went to the mikvah yom shela achra? So we'll say, remember again, we're quoting over here now from the Mishnah. Right, we're quoting over here from the Mishnah. Tavlo yom shela achra v'shimsha reizet tar basra umaga'an ube'ilasan tulin. So we'll say, this is a regular case of shomeres yom. So we'll say in this case, she had a re'iyah ultimately again on day number 3, right? On day number 3, she goes to the mikvah on day number 4, right? So remember, what's the ideal process? She goes to the mikvah on day number 4, and then what happens? She waits. waits until nightfall, then she's with her husband. In this case, what happened over here, Rabosai? In this case, she went to the mikvah on day number 4, but what? She was with her husband on that day. On that day. So what does the Mishnah say? The Mishnah says, Hareze tarbus ra. Tarbus ra means what? Bad behavior. Bad behavior, right? Why? Then umagon ubi'ilasan tuluyin. And I will say, because why is it bad behavior? Because essentially, we don't know. We're going to have to wait to see the rest of the day what's going to happen with you, right? Is your husband Tamei Mishkav Moshav because he had relations with a Niddah, with a Zava or not? Remains to be seen, right? Is the stuff that you touched Tamei, right? Als Zivus remains to be seen. Essentially, everything's going to have to depend on what? Do you have another emission that day or not? If she has another emission that day, her husband's going to be Tamei. Everything else is going to be tamei, but lemaisa again, or do we say everything is in the clear? So we'll say, so that's what it means. So the Gemara says, let's analyze. So the Gemara says, Tavlo yom shlach avu shib shar zeh tarbus ram agon be less than tuliyim. My love divrei akol. So we'll say, it sounds like everyone is agreeing with this. Beishan Beis Hillel, to which the Gemara says, lo. Beis Hillel he. No, this in fact only reflects the view of Beis Hillel. Because I will say why? Why? Because according to Beis Shammai, what be the halacha? Remember we just saw according to Beis Shammai proactively assigns Tumas Mishkav Moshav to the woman on the quote unquote clean day. Right? That's what Beis Shammai does. Beis Shammai says you're automatically to Mishkav Moshav even if you don't have another Re'iyah that day. So this reflects the view of Beis Hillel of Tuluyin. Desanya. Amrlan Rabbi Huda Beis Hillel. Rabbi Huda said to Beis Hillel, V'chi lezu atem korin tarbus ra. So remember again, Rabbi Huda says to Beis Hillel, you call this bad behavior. V'halolo niskavein ze ela livo lesanida. He'll say, but here, this man only had intention to be bol Niddah. So the Gemara says, Niddah sakadait? What does it mean? He had intention to be bol Niddah? Ela ima livo es hazava. Rather means he only had intentions to be bal zava. Zava sakadaitcha. So we'll say that's a good thing. Oh, he only had intentions to be bal zava. Ela ima livo shomeres yom keneged yom. Rather, we'll say what it means is he had in mind ultimately again to have relations with the shomeres yom keneged yom. We'll say the idea being, look at Rashi. Ela ima kibol shomeres yom. Demodi Rav Huna babilas b'sheni la'achar tvilas ashitola kolzman shelo rasa vein tumasa alav afilu midrav. So we'll say, so now by the way we find another riveting machlokes. So we'll say, so again. So they filled with machlokes. So we'll say, so here's what we have. So right, we have number one, the fundamental machlokes about a ziva emission on day number 11. What do you do with a day 11 emission? So we'll say, so Beis Shammai say what? Day 11 is what? No different than any other day before. And she has to observe a day of Tara, even though that day of Tara is going to be really observed during when? During the Niddah period. And therefore, again, if she goes to the mikveh that night and is with her husband, chayiv karban, mitame mishkav moshav. The next day, if they're together, there's no chayiv karban, but ultimately, again, there will be tumas mishkav moshav, which then tells us, by the way, that's actually Beis Shammai l'shitaso, that Beis Shammai holds that in general, when she is observing her clean day, after having a zivas emission, she is proactively conveying tumas mishkav umoshav. Beis Hillel, on the other hand, disagrees. Beis Hillel says, Niddah ends day number 11. So if she has any mission on day number 11, that's it. Come nightfall, she's done. It's just that we impose rabbinic tumah upon her. We do want her rabbinically to observe a clean day because we're concerned that if we don't make her observe day number 12, what's going to happen? She's going to end up being mekel on earlier days of the zivos as well and not observe the clean day properly. So therefore, Beis Hillel says we'll make them observe a clean day on day number 12, which is into the days of Nidos. But Lamaisa, again, if she goes to the mikveh that night and they're together, there's Tumas Mishkav Moshav Midrabanan, but no Karban. If she waits until day number 12 and goes to the mikveh, right, and they're together, there's not even Tumas Mishkav Moshav. There's nothing. He's just a bit gluttonous, right? They should have just waited until that evening. And we see that's Beis Hillel l'shitaso, because Beis Hillel holds in general on the clean day. What's the halacha? On the clean day, what's the halacha? That ultimately, again, ideally we don't want them having relations until that night. But Lamaisa, if she went to the mikveh during the clean day and they had relations during the clean day, then halacha Lamaisa, it's tolin. Right, Tolin. Tolin means what? We wait to see what happens the rest of the clean day. If she has an emission, then Einachinami, they will become Mitame Tumas Mishkav Moshav. It will convey Tuma ultimately again to other potentially sanctified items, but that only happens halacha lamaisa after there was an emission. So we'll say two fundamental machloks between Mesham and Silo. We'll stop over here to Itmar. We'll Mir Hashem pick up with this Gemara. I also want to share with you just a parsha vart. We'll say just one public service announcement. As this is our last time together as a full shiur, we'll say Mir Hashem Sunday. So we may have new people who are coming. So I know Baruch Hashem people become very attached to their makomos. So I will say, you know that the rule in this shiur is that your makom is only your makom if you get there first. Well, so I would just ask, we never ask someone to get up. We never ask someone to move over. We never tell someone, oh, someone sits here. We'll say, it's not ben adam lechavero. This is Baruch Hashem. There's always going to be room for everyone. If you're makbid on a makom kavua, which I suggest everyone should be makbid on a makom kavua, get here early, get here often. Right? I will say that's the way you hold on to your makom. But I will say again, you might have been sitting in the same makom for all of Shas for the last 3 cycles. Right? Incredible. I will say, please, I would ask, because I want to tell you, every time we start a new Masechta and people come, inevitably, it's important for me to share it to you, there are people who come over to me and are offended that someone asked them to move. Whether they ask them to move over a seat or a table or this or that. You know, when someone comes, I will say, on a serious note, please, this is not a joke. You know, when people come into a new shiur and they come into a new place, especially if it's people not from the shul, they might not know the chevra, they might not know the layout. People always have a feeling of insecurity sitting down, feeling they're going to worry about someone's seat. But I will say, but again, I would ask, it's our hachnasas archim, especially those who are in the kila, those who are in the shul, those who are veterans of the shiurim. When people come, make them feel comfortable. Not only do we not ask someone to leave, but even more than that, if you see a new face, first of all, introduce yourself, say, hi, shalom aleichem, here's the coffee, here's the this, here's the that, make them feel comfortable, and instead of dislodging them from a makom, Mir Hashem help them find the makom. All right, that's just a public service announcement. Well, so let me share with you a short idea from the parsha. I'll say, okay. So we'll say, so there's an incredible idea in the parsha, which is that at the end of the parsha, after the family of Yaakov Avinu is resettled in the land of Goshen, so we know that Yosef really rises to prominence because of his interpretation of the dreams, but also because of his implementation of a solution. We spoke about this in last week's parsha thought, right? This idea that Yosef was solution-oriented. Many people could point out problems. Yosef HaTzadik was able to point out a solution. And so we know again that when all the food runs out, he comes up with a variety of these. People sell land, people become indentured servants. So there's an incredible pasuk. The pasuk says, this is in Perek Mem Zayin pasuk Chav Gimel. Vayomer Yosef Ala'am. Yosef says to the nation, he's speaking to the Egyptians, Hein kanisi eschem ayom ve'es ad maschem leparo. So ultimately, again, I've acquired you and your fields for Paro. Remember, at this point in time, the famine is so rampant that people no longer have anything to sell. They've given away their money, they've sold off their livestock, and now literally they've sold themselves as indentured servants to the Pharaoh. So Yosef says at this point in time, I own everything, right? Meaning I being Paro. I own everything. I own you, I own your property, I own your livestock. You belong to the state. So Yosef says, here's the deal. Hey lachem zera. I'm giving you seed, right? I'm giving you grain, I'm giving you seed. Uzeratem es ha'adama. And go and plant the fields. I'm giving you seed, go and plant the fields. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe Zecher Tzadik Livracha says something so incredibly amazing. Listen to the words of the Rebbe. Hey lachem zera, Yosef HaTzadik shebechol dar nosin l'chol echad ve'echad kochos chizok ba'avodas Hashem. So the Rebbe says like this, in every single generation, every single day, the Yosef HaTzadik or HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us zera. He gives us seeds. He gives us kochos, right? We each are in possession of an incredible amount of kochos. But says the Rebbe, Ach nesinas koach zu kishi la'atzma ina maspika. The Rebbe says, if you have a fistful of kochos, right? A fistful of kochos doesn't do anything. Just like a fistful of seeds doesn't do anything unless, of course, what? V'tzarech liyos gam. Uzeratem es ha'adama. The fistful of seeds don't do anything unless you plant them in the ground. So too says the Rebbe, a fist full of kochos, an neshama that is filled with energy, that is filled with abilities, does not do anything unless the kochos are planted, are seeded, and able to bring forth incredible fruit. Says the Rebbe, Yosef HaTzadik was not just giving instructions to the people of Egypt. Yosef HaTzadik was giving instructions to us as well. Heilachem zera, I've given you so much seed, I've given you so much ability, so many kochos. Uzeratem es ha'adama, plant your kochos, plant the seeds, and accomplish something great. I will say, we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us so many kochos, and each of us is in possession of a whole variety of kochos. Whether those seeds are the blessings we have, the personality traits we have, the abilities we have, each of us possesses so many incredible kochos. Do you know what the greatest crime in life is? That sometimes people walk through life and they're holding their kochos in their hand. Look at my kochos. Look at my kochos. I have such incredible kochos. There's only one problem. They never put them in the ground. They never do anything with those kochos. So you could walk around with a fistful of seeds, and you might have more seeds than anyone else. Shkoyach. But you know what happens if you keep your seeds in your hand? At some point in time they rot. At some point in time they wither. And at some point in time they become nothing. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives us seeds, Abosai. It is our job to plant them and to do things with them. See, if you have money, do great things with your money. And if you have a good personality, interact and bring other Jews closer. And if you have a mishpacha, shower them with your attention. And if you have a wonderful spouse, do what you can to make her happy. Whatever your seeds are in life, Rabbi, plant them and make beautiful things happen with them. I will say, we are finishing Shas. Whether you're finishing Shas actually, or even if you're not a Messiah, it doesn't matter. We're finishing a cycle. I will say, there's something special that is happening in the world. You could feel it. You could feel that there's something different. And I don't just mean if you were at the Siyum HaShas and you're at MetLife Stadium, which was incredible. I mean that if you're in tune enough with your neshama, you could feel that something incredible is about to occur. There's something magnificent that's coming to an end. And I was saying to Ari yesterday, or a couple of days ago, there's a sadness. On one hand, there's a sadness as we come to the last pages of Niddah. And yes, it is sad to see Niddah leave. You're thinking to yourself, no, it's not. No, it is. It is not. I'm happy to say goodbye to that for another 7.5 years. I will say, there is something sad. Because the truth is, many of us started this 7.5 years ago. And one thing is clear, which is we were all different people 7.5 years ago. Some of us were better 7.5 years ago. Some of us were worse 7.5 years ago. But Lamaisa, we've all changed over 7.5 years. And there's a chapter of our lives that closes with the conclusion of Niddah. There's a chapter of our lives. Whatever that chapter is something that's closing. But when one chapter closes, quite literally, as Niddah closes, Brachas Daf Beis Amud Aleph opens, Rabbi say. Brachas Daf Beis are the seeds in your hand, along with all of the other seeds. I will say, plant them. Don't walk around with the seeds of potential, the seeds of brachas in your hands. But go ahead and take the seeds, and not just Daf Yomi, of life. We all have so many incredible seeds that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given to us, and we walk around looking at them, admiring them, so beautiful, sharing them, showing them, and we just fail to do sometimes the most important thing, which is plant them. Both say we are each capable of so many incredible things. We have so much ridiculous potential. None of us has to settle for mediocrity. None of us has to be regular. None of us has to be ordinary. And if we remain mediocre, and if we remain ordinary, if we remain regular, it's not your mother's fault or your father's fault or your wife's fault or your friend's fault. You make the choice to remain ordinary. You make the choice to remain mediocre because you choose to hold on to your seeds and not to plant them. There's a wave, a tidal wave of hischatshus, of renewal that is occurring. There's a tidal wave of incredible energy that is coming our way. There's a tidal wave of beautiful seeds that are being placed in our hands. Yosef HaTzadik tells us, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts the seeds of potential in your hand, Heilachem zera, uzeratem es ha'adama. May we be zochem Yirtzeh Hashem, to take the seeds of potential, to take the seeds of bracha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu plants firmly in the palms of our hand. Find the koach to plant them, to utilize them, to maximize them, and to see the beautiful saplings of accomplishment sprout in the years to come.